Um, there we go. Looks like we have Brad Witzman. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right, welcome. And Mr. Witzman, who are you representing here today?
I'm with SHP, the architect on the job.
Got it. All right, welcome.
Thank you.
And is Terry Lockhart with SHP as well?
No, Terry is a representative of CPS.
Got it. Okay. And are you expecting Terry to testify here today, or was Terry going to observe? I'm just trying to determine whether I need to troubleshoot this now or if we can proceed.
It was my understanding that he was just here to observe, and if you had any questions for him, be available.
Okay, great. I'm not sure that he can hear us. Looks like he's trying to connect audio again now. If either of you want to reach out to Terry and let him know that, if he wants to try from a different computer or from a phone or something, maybe that he may have more luck if he wants to participate. If he just wants to observe, he can watch the YouTube stream that anyone else can. But it's up to you if you want to share that with him. I just want to make sure that we're ready to proceed. And Mr. Honkamp, are you also with SHP or?
The Cliangers group.
Okay.
I will reach out to Terry and talk to him, make sure everything's
Okay.
all right.
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. And then I see we also have Trey Sheldon, our zoning plans examiner. How you doing, Trey?
Good. Happy holidays to you, David.
Thanks, you too. All right. Let's go ahead. I need to read through our hearing script, which will basically just cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into it. I assume we're not waiting on anyone else to join us here today and we're ready to proceed. Okay, great.
Correct.
All right, thanks. So this is the December 21st, 2022 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati. I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220174. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would have an opportunity to present or to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I'll give the zoning plans examiner, Trey Sheldon, an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to a staff report if you would like. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to an application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut or respond to that testimony that was offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I'll give Mr. Honkamp and Mr. Weitzman an opportunity to just tell me about the project, why you think it's appropriate, why I should grant this relief, background you think that's important for me to know. And you two can orient that presentation however you'd like. One or both of you can speak in any order for however long you want. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, as we're sort of experiencing right now, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly. But to the extent there is some defect that prevents us from me fully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. And again, just to be certain, we are ready to proceed without Mr. Lockhart being able to hear or speak to us, right?
Correct. I've sent him an email now letting him know that it's okay if he just listens to the standard live stream on YouTube.
Okay, great. All right. Let's see. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any statements, any comments, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in. See, you're all raising your right hand. I need you all to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Craig, your audio didn't come through on that.
Yes.
There we go. All right, fantastic. Okay, who's going to be taking the lead for us here today?
I will be going ahead and doing that.
Okay, floor is yours.
And I will go ahead and share screen.
Okay.
Oh boy, got a lot of stuff going on here. Let's minimize some of this. Back to my blue beam. All right, there we go. I assume everybody can see my screen now.
We can.
Yes.
So I will, good. And I do have a cough I've been fighting for like 2 weeks. So if I stop and pause and get a drink or get a cough drop, please bear with me.
Whatever you gotta do.
So yeah, I'll just, all right, thank you. So yes, I'll just run through our submittal package real quick and kind of, like you said, Mr. Sturkey, give you the overview of the project and what's going on and what we're requesting. So as you've probably seen, our zoning application and what we're asking for here, since we are a school in a single family zone, we do have to go for a conditional use. And then we also have 2 other variances that we have to go for. One is for having an accessory structure in the front yard, which is the play structure. And the second is that we're asking for a special exception for the parking to be in the front yard. So I will kind of run through and show those. So here's the adjudication letter that explained our 3 items that we're asking for today. And then here is our letter that we've submitted summarizing a basic overview of the school and what the proposed addition is going to do and how this is all coming together on the site. One thing in this first paragraph summary that we did put in here was just an explanation about the height of the building. Because what you'll see in our submittal documents that the actual building is 41 feet 8 inches above the finished floor. However, when you measure across the frontage of our property, which is how this would be done in this case, then it comes out that the building, and zoning allows 35 feet tall, but because the way this, and you'll see this in some subsequent documents that we'll be showing, but it does, the building sits down lower down beneath the road elevation and beneath that right-of-way line. So we end up being actually 2 feet lower than the permissible height of the building, even though our building is 41 feet from the finished floor. But that's because of how the site drops off. And we also mention in here, our site light poles are at 17 feet, so they did not require a variance either. And we also went through all of the parking counts and everything like that at the very beginning of our submittal in coordination with Mr. Sheldon, and everything there is in order also, so we did not need a parking variance or anything like that. And the last thing we address in the summary is that the school, Pleasant Ridge Montessori and Cincinnati Public Schools, is keenly aware of the community concerns about the crosswalk at Montgomery Road and Lester Road, which there has the community council participants did submit in a number of kind of form letters that they had written to the City Department of Transportation and Engineering, working to try to get that improved there. And so Cincinnati Public Schools does, pledge to continue that dialogue and conversation with DOTE to try to make sure that anything that can be done to more adequately address and improve the crosswalk at Montgomery Road and Lester Road, that is implemented. So CPS is in full support of that, and is also working with DOTE to try to implement that.
Let me real quick ask you a question on that. Do you anticipate that as a result of any of the changes that you're proposing today, in terms of the new addition and the playground and the parking, that is going to impact safety
No.
without a crosswalk? Because we often get in these zoning hearings, I think folks feel like they don't have sometimes a lot of avenues to voice these concerns, but they don't necessarily relate to the specific zoning. So I guess my question is are those concerns related to this expansion at all, or are they just simply concerns that they would have no matter what was going on over there?
Yeah, those are concerns that the community has had for a number of years, yeah, unrelated to this expansion. It's just the proximity of this, this, you can see the crosswalks I'm sharing on the screen now that are at the traffic signal of Lester and Montgomery Road. But it's just Montgomery Road is just such a busy road, and there is a decent amount of of students and parents crossing there, and there are crossing guards, but it's just, everybody kind of feels a little bit of anxiety at that crossing, and that's why they're trying to petition the Department of Transportation and Engineering to see if anything can be done to further improve this crosswalk situation there. But
So-
yes,
So
those
these
are
changes, just to put a bow on it, aren't going to make it any less safe to cross that intersection. Is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
no
Okay,
more or less
thanks.
safe, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Could be
David, if you don't
potential
mind, I have a factual, thing to interject here, because as of the time that Craig had received all this, from months ago, I mean, we did a coordinated review for this some months ago. And I think he received a lot of this input from concerned parents and so on at the school. My colleague, Doug Owen, who's the urban conservator, and is in part of the zoning administration, lives right just down the street on Lester Road. And he reported to me, as of the time when I was doing my staff report, that the rumble stops and no right turns, that almost all the letters from the parents were asking for from DOT have actually been installed as of the date of this hearing. So I just wanted you to understand that, David, and you too, Craig, that a lot of I read through the bulk of those letters, and all of them supported the school. It's just they were concerned about the crosswalk. Well, the chief things that I can't say every concern was alleviated because it is a busy road, but the two things they were asking for was this become a rumble stop, which is a way of dealing with the lights, and that there be no turn on red signage, and all that for information and belief, reporting by my colleague Doug Owen, who lives literally just down Lester Road 2 blocks. That all has been installed. So I should address those, David, basically.
Thanks, Trey. I appreciate that, and I sympathize with the parents' concerns. I think that there needs to be increased pedestrian safety and traffic safety throughout the city. But I wanted to verify that those concerns those safety problems were not going to be exacerbated by this project at all. And if that's the case, I think they're in the wrong forum, and DOTE might be or council of the city manager might be the best place for that. So I just want to make that clear for the record. And thanks Trey for that information. Okay, Craig.
Yep. So let me go back to my other presentation there. So then the next page, we go into the conditional use items then, which are C through P here, the plans, just trying to make sure that this is within the spirit and intent and the guidelines of the code to allow this conditional use to continue to exist, and this, this improvement on this property to go forward. CPS has been occupied on this site since 1819. There's been a school on here. And so it's been a staple of the community for a long, long time, and a very valued part of the community, just with it being an excellent school, high-performing school, and providing a positive impact for the families and businesses in the area. And yes, traffic, we addressed here that there's no adverse impact on traffic. And just kind of expanding one additional comment, we will be adding 23 parking spaces net increase with this project. So that will, if anything, give more opportunities for visitors and parents to park on site, and could potentially alleviate a little bit of some of the, pedestrian crossings at the crosswalk. But I think that's a very minor consideration there. But just to kind of add that this project is not hurting, and if anything, helping that situation. Buffering, we are going to be providing sufficient buffering, and you'll see that in our presentation for the parking lot that is existing along the front road, but we are along Montgomery Road, but we are expanding it. So we will be having landscaping and buffering for that parking lot. The hours of operation for the school are not changing. Neighborhood compatibility, we feel like yeah, this is very compatible with the neighborhood since it's been there for so long. And we've got a church across the street, a cemetery just down the road, and then some retail on the other side of the street, and then the golf course behind us. So we don't see any adverse effects with continuing this use on the site. And we're not aware of any kind of major zoning amendments that are in the works to the zoning code or land development that this would be going against. And yes, this project will not create blight or anything like that. And then the economic benefits of, yeah, just having a good, high performing, stable school in the community is always helpful. And there could potentially be, although this project is mainly to help relieve overcrowding in some of the classrooms that are going on right now. There could be a few extra jobs created by this expansion also, so that would be a positive also. And then the next page here is our variance then for the locational variance request, which is for the playground structure in the front yard. And you will see when I show the diagrams that there is an existing playground just off to the side and slightly to the front of the school. And that is where the only logical spot is for this building addition, given the tight kind of linear nature of the site and the topography of the site. And so that playground is kind of getting pulled slightly forward. And that's why it then ends up in the front yard. But I'll explain that a little bit more when we go through the diagrams and drawings. And then the next item we're asking for is the special exception request for that parking lot in the front. And yes, it is an existing parking in the front, but we are expanding it. So we are coming back again then to ask for a special exception for that expanded parking in the front yard. Okay, so with that, here's our first drawing then, and this kind of does show the location of the school here in the neighborhood and the community. And you can see, as I mentioned, the golf course in the back. This is the Presbyterian church on the opposite side from where our main addition is. The main addition will be, and our work is kind of centered in the red shaded area. And then there is some retail on the opposite side of Montgomery Road from the school also. That's kind of our setting and context. And I'll just flip through a couple of these drawings. So everything shaded in dark gray is the existing building. And so this addition is just at that very kind of, it was on the left side of the last page that I was looking at, which I guess is technically kind of south or southwest. It's just the white level here. And there are 3 stories to the addition. So this bottom view shows the first floor, then the second floor and the third floor are shown above it also, which matches the existing building. And here you can see it kind of an isometric view. Again, the shaded gray is what's existing and the whiter lighter is what is proposed. It's just kind of an extension of that classroom wing. And yeah, I also kind of illustrated that height on here with the 41 feet 8 inches, which puts it into those calculations that I had on those original summary page, which is less than what's along the road. These are the elevation views, and you can see that it kind of matches right up with the existing elevations of the existing building. It's very similar to what's out there today. So it's not like we're going higher than what's out there today or anything either. And this is the drawing then, the topographic survey that shows that average elevation along the school frontage of the 781.6. When you add the 35 feet to that, our building is 2 feet lower than that allowable. Demolition plan kind of just shows the area that we're working there, where we're demolishing those existing parking lots, existing parking spaces, and relocating the playground. And you'll see that playground in some of the photos that we've submitted in our package also. And then here's the new work. So I'm going to flip back real quick so you can see where the existing parkings are with the crosshatch. And then the new building is shaded in red, and the parking is pretty much going back in the same location, but there is a net expansion of it. While I'm also on this page, I'll point out some of the other features that, you know, don't really allow the expansion to happen in other locations and the playground to really happen in other locations. Is you can just see the topography through here. And this is a stormwater detention basin that's off to the corner, and trying to not disturb the stormwater basin or have to build retaining walls. And they've got some other play features and community gardens back here, and their fire lane circles around back behind the building also. So there's just not a whole lot of extra room on this site, and it kind of necessitated, you know, us having the parking in the front and the playground in the front also, or the play structure in the front. This is one of our landscape sheets, and it does show the buffering along the parking lot that is required. So we are doing that. And this L200 sheet shows the playground then in here that is technically in the front yard. It is just kind of off of the red shaded building addition. Between the building addition and the parking lot, this kind of nook through here is where we've got our play area for the children to go out during recess. Existing condition photos. So yes, this is kind of looking directly at that end of the building where the addition will attach onto. And this is that existing playground that sits there that is, it's not going to be relocated. We're just building a completely new playground, but this is the play structure that is going away, and then we're going to build the new play structure then. But this is right, this building addition will sit right here in this forefront of this photo. This is just standing back a little bit further, looking at the kind of the southern parking lot, and still looking back at that same face of the building where the addition will sit. You can see in this photo, though, how the grade rises up to the right towards Montgomery Road, and that kind of goes to that height issue that I was talking about earlier. You can also see the existing light poles and everything in this photo, too. And like I said, our new light poles are in compliance with zoning code, though. This continues to kind of turn towards the right, towards Montgomery Road, and you can see the parking lot that exists in the front yard today that we're going to be, you know, rebuilding, re-engineering and rebuilding. And then in the background there on the right-hand side, you can see the Presbyterian Church across the road. This is just an example photo I put in just to kind of really show how that building is kind of set down below grade. And the parking lot kind of sits up high, and Montgomery Road to the right. And that traffic signal you can kind of all see in the background there on the right-hand side. And the school building is kind of set down just a little bit low as that grade drops back towards the golf course to the north. This is one kind of standing from the front entry to the building, looking across that parking lot. And similar, so now our building addition is just kind of here, just to the right of the fire hydrant is where the building addition will sit. And then we are lowering these grades, though, just so that play structure and everything is not quite set down in a hole so much to try to increase the visibility. While we do have a retaining wall there in that area, the parking lot is still above, but we are lowering it from what it is today. There's the Montgomery Road. These are ownership witness list. I don't think, oh, okay, yes, the last page I wanted to end on is, of course, our Pleasant Ridge Community Council letter of support that we did obtain, and they clearly say in here that they are, you know, very supportive, fully supportive of this growth of the incredibly successful Pleasant Ridge Montessori School. So they're very happy that this is going on. But then, yeah, they do address and follow up with all the concerns about the crosswalk, which it sounds like from Mr. Sheldon that DOTE has recently implemented several of those things they were asking for. So that's all that I have in my presentation. I don't know if, Brad, if you have anything you want to add that I missed or any details you want to go over more?
I do not have anything additional to add.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Honkamp. Appreciate it. I also don't think that I have any questions right now. I'd like to give Trey an opportunity to weigh in if there's anything he'd like to add in addition to a staff report. Sure,
just a couple of quick things, David. One, as to the accessory structure, the play area, this isn't just a teeter-totter or whatever. It's a full-on, basically larger than the one that is there currently. some of these play structures now, my kids had them at their school, are now sort of like almost plastic towers, like PVC kind of tower things that you can have tube slides coming off of and things of that nature. So when they're of that size, the reason we consider them accessory structures is these are well on the size of a shed or whatever, and they would need part of the building permit, building plan review, simply because they're structures that up in the air, they have to have railings and safety issues. So that's why I just wanted to explain that for the record, so the school understands that's why we consider those to be an accessory structure. This is not a just like I said, a teeter totter or a bird bath or something, flagpole or something of that nature. This is something.
Sure. And to hammer down on that, I mean, the reason they are prohibited in side yards and single family neighborhoods is to avoid, excessive noise or adverse sonic or visual impacts on neighboring properties, right?
Correct.
And based on the location in the surrounding area that I'm seeing here, doesn't appear that that's going to be a concern at all with the golf course and the church across the street. Is that right?
That's correct. And I mean, and part of the church, about 2/3 of the church property is a graveyard. Cemetery. So, and as Craig pointed out, the rest of there's part of its commercial property as you start to go to commercial land use as you go to the southeast, and it's also going to be planned development with a high density residential tower mixed use over there. So I don't think this would have any impact as well. This is, as Craig pointed out, this is down in, it's not in a hole per se, as he pointed out, but it does have a safety fence around it, and it is down below the wall that you see, like when you're seeing the play structure right now. It's down below, several feet down below the level of the new replacement parking area, which itself is completely screened. So you're going to have a double layer, David, of landscaping right on this side of the parking area that you're seeing, basically the south side of the parking. The north side of the parking lot, and then also there's going to be the landscaping buffer that Mr. Honkamp spoke of. On the north side, further on the south side of there along Montgomery Road, which serves as your landscape perimeter for the parking area itself. And he's kind of detailing the screen sharing. He's showing you that there are plenty of bushes and so on. So due to that and the topographic fall, so unless somebody's really trying to notice this, they're not going to notice much of the play area, simply because it's down 10 feet lower in topography, with in between basically an existing parking lot that's being replaced, and considerable amount of landscaping here with shrubs and trees and whatnot. So I don't see it being any kind of adverse effect whatsoever.
I would also add to Craig, if you could go back to the one image of the playground that you took. That one right there. So if you notice, there's a large net on the left side of the screen, just kind of back behind the play area. Another kind of reason we were looking to try and move the play area to the location that it's at. Obviously, the school sits really well right there, but there have been instances of a few stray golf balls finding their way into the area. So putting the playground area on the other side of this of the addition also satisfied some safety concerns that the school was having as far as children getting hit by golf balls. So there's that benefit as well.
Sure. Thanks. Okay. Anything else, Trey?
I think we've addressed most of the safety issues, which seem to be a predominant concern. As Craig pointed out, I don't believe that that having some additional parking is in any way going to really have any profound impact on the number of users at the crosswalk. I don't think the student body is supposed to increase here, so it's just expanded classroom. They'll have a better teacher. From what my understanding, they'll have a better teacher to student ratio, basically, which is a common theme in a lot of school additions that you've been seeing, David, in the past several years, is they're trying to improve the education that the children are getting by increasing that ratio. Or decreasing it, I guess, so depending on the perspective, they're trying to have fewer students per teacher. And as well, based on my reporting from my colleague, Mr. Owen, who lives, literally a couple hundred feet south on Leicester Road. Those DOTE changes have been implemented. I think they've been long in the works, and they've probably gone through community council and many letters, and it finally happened. So it's just nice that that's finally been addressed, because it seemed like people were pretty upset by that. So I'm glad that happened. But as David noted, as Mr. Turkey noted, and I certainly concur, that's not a zoning issue. That's a Department of Transportation issue. That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate it. All right. Anything in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here?
No,
Okay.
I don't have anything additional.
Okay. Let's leave it at that then. I've had a chance to review the application materials. I'm familiar with this particular property and neighborhood. I've reviewed the staff report. Based on that, based on the testimony that I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I think at least Craig is familiar with this process. It usually takes about a couple of weeks. I think that's probably accurate right now with the current queue that I have and the holiday time frame that we're in. And so I think the first week of January, I should have a decision out to you. As soon as I finish that, I put it into a PDF. I email it to everyone who's in the hearing here today, so you'll have a copy of it really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that, Trey can work on approving the permitting. And yeah, I think that's it. Any questions about any of that or the process at all? Okay.
That is good. Thank you.
Great. If you do have any questions,
you.
feel free to reach out to me or to Trey. And if you want a status update on the decision or see where I'm at with that, just you can reach out to me directly. I'm happy to give that to you. All right. Thank you guys again for your time, your testimony. Good luck with the project. Hope you have a good holiday.